Hello everyone, Leah here. Now before we get into today's discussion, I just want to point out some things that I'm doing to get started, and it's related to today's topic. So what I'm doing is I'm using this really thick, dark HP pencil lead. So as you can see, it's massive compared to a normal pencil. And I have my water solubles in dark colors and black paint. But before I start painting my landscape, I'm going to draw out some random shapes that I see around my studio. I do this as a part of my process, especially when I'm going to be painting made up abstract landscapes. Staring at a blank white page is really hard for me in my creative process. I don't like it. So I've implemented just creating random shapes, lines, drippage, sometimes even textures onto a page to help me get rid of that dreaded blank page thing. And I think that's a great segue into starting this subject matter. So I wrote it down. I wrote down what I wanted to say, guys. So hopefully I don't talk too fast. But every creative has their own path towards finding their artistic voice and the way that they use their colors, the supplies that they gravitate towards, and the process they take for creating. Oftentimes you'll find that there are commonalities between your process and another's. And it can be because you two have similar influences that inspired you to create or are environmental inspirations. But sometimes your brains might just be wired similarly enough that that's how you see things and process information and then, put it down on page. I was searching for new art supplies, and yes, I am aware I told myself, I even proclaimed here on YouTube that I would not be buying any more new art supplies unless it was 100% necessary, like needing to replenish white paint or something like that. But I clearly have no self-control. Anyways, the point is I was searching for a new high quality artist grade acrylic paint and something that I could try. And in this research process, I came across an artist's YouTube channel, and her name is Betty Franks. And she has a channel here on YouTube, and she was talking about Nova paints. And let me just say, they look freaking cool. And I decided to watch a couple of videos to just see how the paints work and how they work within an abstract artist's process, because she is an abstract artist and I lean towards the abstract as well. And that's when I noticed some similarities between her approach and mine to creating art. In the creative process of starting a painting, she uses a lot of dark colors, a lot of black paint, where I typically use colors. I might paste paper down and things like that. And I found her approach to using so much black paint inspiring, because I never would have thought to do that. I typically use black as a last stage detail adding or to mix greens and dark purples. And I wanted to try this for myself, see if this is something that I could integrate into my own process. When you go to school for art, in my case, I went to school for photography. That's my educational background. You are taught to copy before you can master light and style for yourself. I find the same can be said for beginner artists in any medium. You see something you like and you try to recreate it. And there is nothing wrong with trying on new art styles, trying to paint like someone you admire and seeing what their approach is you can then take into your own process of creating. It's not like you're stealing their style. You're just recreating it and trying it on for yourself and adapting it to your own style. So when we get into the no-no area, it's when you actually steal their style, create replicas, claim them as your own. That's a no-no. In order to learn from others, though, to find your own voice, you sometimes gotta steal a little, but like in a good way. Now, you may be wondering, how does one steal in a good way, Leah? Well, let me tell you. In today's video, you saw at the beginning how I used dark colors for doing my lines and shapes, and then I adapted what I like to call the Betty Franks method in using a lot of black paint to sort of map out areas from those random shapes that I got that could be landscape aspects. Her style is to just create random lines, shapes, and areas on the page. I am adapting it towards my abstract landscapes because it's all imaginary. I'm not creating something that I'm looking at a reference photo for. And this is my first attempt at trying this method of painting, and I must say it was very interesting, and I do want to try it again. But how is this stealing not, how is this good stealing and not bad stealing? See, I was inspired to apply her process to my own style. I didn't sit down and start to paint brushstroke for brushstroke. Instead of using my bright colors for my base layer, I'm using the dark colors. And I'm messily mapping out areas for my landscape. So I'm not recreating her artwork. Let me give you another example. Let's say that I came across a painting on Pinterest that caught my eye. And it inspires me to paint. So I need to ask myself a few questions like, what is it about this painting that inspired me to pick up my paintbrush? If it was a subject matter, for example, like say a desert landscape, I can go to a royalty website, look for visuals that and look interesting to me, and then create my landscape in my own style. But what if it was something else? What if it wasn't the subject matter? What if it was something like, say, the colors that really spoke to me, inspired me? So let's see. What are some of the questions I could ask myself? It could be, what is it about these colors that popped? Is it how they work in a harmonious way? Are they a certain type of color palette? So are they split complementary? Or is it a specific color that they used? Is there a lot of pinks or blues? Or is it have like these really beautiful bright oranges? And then how do I adapt that to my own approach, my own process, my own style? Well, I then want to look at the paints that I have. I'm not going to go out and buy new ones. I'm going to use what I have and create in that color palette. And I'm going to create something that's my own style. I'm not recreating their painting. I'm going to take those oranges, pinks, and blues, and I'm going to paint a landscape or a floral painting. Or right now, I'm like obsessed with lemons. Like I keep drawing them in my sketchbook. So maybe that's something that I'm going to be doing. If you have watched a video on YouTube and you're trying to replicate a painting tutorial, your painting, along with everyone else's, will turn out to be very different from the original. It's because even though you're recreating their paintings, maybe step for step, your eyes see things differently, and you may be using different colors, different paintbrushes. Even the way you hold your paintbrush will be different. Every choice and movement you make is a part of your own individual style. But by learning through tutorials, analyzing other creatives' works, that's when you start to elevate and develop your style further. Something that I really think helps in this process of stealing, and I'm air quoting here because technically there are no original ideas, is to have an artist journal. And there are a lot of different types of art journals out there. If you are familiar with my channel, you know I love to document the colors that I use when I'm painting and how I feel when I'm using them. But for this, I'm referring to having a journal dedicated to what inspires you to create. And I used to have one of these and use it all the time in school, even before it became a part of our mandatory class requirements. If I saw a photograph I really liked, I would cut it out, paste it into my journal, and make notes about what drew my eye to it. It could have been the way the model was posing or how the light hit the subject matter and the shadows in the photo. And you can do the same thing to anything that inspires you. It can be an advertisement for, I don't know, plates. It can be another artist's painting you find online or on social media. Now, you can go about creating this journal online via Pinterest, a digital one on your iPad, or you can physically cut everything, print things off, cut it out, and paste it into a book. I currently actually do everything digitally. I have it on my iPad and via Pinterest. I screenshot it and I make notes on the screenshot as to what inspired me in that moment. But as I talk about it, maybe it'd be a good idea to have less scrolling. You know, you scroll a lot when you have things on your iPad and your phone. I think maybe I'll try going back. Anyways, that's a wandering thought. Also, I do want to point out that there is a book. If this subject matter makes you nervous, it gives you anxiety, you're primarily using art as a tool towards healing, or maybe you're new to art, and the idea of people being negative to you online when you post something that you've created and you're proud of frightens you, and you want to learn more about this concept of good stealing versus bad stealing, there is a book called Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. I might be saying his name wrong. I haven't read the whole book. I've read passages of it. There's a lot of artists that actually have made videos about it, so you could even dive into maybe one of theirs. You know, just as a resource for yourself, because I know that when you're new to art or using art as a tool towards healing, heck, even as an artist that has been at it for a long time, this world of creativity is this magical place and it's full of endless possibilities. However, there is a slight dark side to it. And when I mean dark side, I mean the haters, those who push negativity on you, making you feel like what you're creating is ugly and what you're doing is wrong. Or even that creating the way you create is inappropriate or not how it's supposed to be done. Just know that what we're talking about today, learning from others, is not wrong. It's how you grow, how you learn. And I also just want to note that before we reach the end of this video, it's really important to remember that this idea of stealing, it's normal. There are no original ideas anymore. And even the old masters, you know, they stole, cheated, and did whatever they needed to do to create and express. So you do what you need to do to learn. And as you can see, even just by looking at the video that happened today, the art that was made, even though I use what I'm calling the Betty Franks method, my art and the way I create is very different from hers. So even though I am technically, quote unquote, stealing a piece of her process by adapting, using the darks as my base layer, I'm still creating something completely me and my own. Thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of this discussion. If you have any comments or questions, let me know in the comments section below. If you're new to my channel and you're interested in using art as a tool towards healing, and you want to learn more about different art techniques or different supplies and things like that, hit the subscribe button because that's what I'm about here. Before we get to the very end, I just want to say thank you. And let's do a deep breath in and bring in some positivity into our day, all right? So deep breath in. And let's push the air out. And let's do it one more time. Let's focus on bringing in positivity and light. And let's push out any negativity. Let's even shake out our limbs. Shake it off, guys. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. And I just, if you do honestly have any comments or questions, let me know in the comments section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. All right. Until next time, everyone, stay magical.